I never thought I'd poison a wedding with a single sentence, but there I was, fork midway to my mouth, when Victoria, my son's picture-perfect fiancée, unleashed her venom like it was just another Tuesday. "This gift looks cheap," she said, holding up the antique pearl necklace I'd inherited from my mother, the one that had survived 2 world wars and a family fortune's worth of bad decisions. The room froze, my son's eyes widening like he'd just seen his future evaporate, and in that split second, I decided. Fuck the house, fuck the legacy, fuck her entitled little empire of lies. I'd burn it all down, starting with the $2 million tutor she thought was her birthright. It wasn't always about revenge. Back when I was Adeline Harper, before the divorces, the scandals, the ghosts, I built things. My husband, Richard, and I turned a sleepy Silicon Valley startup into a tech behemoth in the 90s, back when disrupt was just a fancy word for stealing ideas. We had the dream, sprawling estate in Palo Alto, son Ethan off to Stanford, and me, the queen bee of PDA fundraisers and venture capital mixers. But Richard? He was the snake in the garden, charming everyone while siphoning funds into offshore accounts for his mistresses. I found out on our 20th anniversary, a bottle of Dom Perignon chilling in the fridge while he was balls deep in some intern half my age. I could have lawyered up, dragged his ass through the courts, and walked away with half the company. But Ethan, sweet, wide-eyed Ethan, just 14 then, begged me not to. "Dad's not a bad guy, Mom. He's just lost. Lost." As if embezzlement was a GPS glitch. So I covered it up, falsified the books myself, took the IRS hit like a champ, and let Richard slink away with a quiet settlement. For the family, I told myself, staring at the ceiling that night, the weight of his betrayal crushing my chest like a boot on gravel. I gambled everything, my reputation, my clean record, on the lie that we were unbreakable. Turns out, lies have half-lives, and mine was ticking down. Fast forward 15 years, and here I am, Adeline Voss now, divorced, remarried briefly to a venture guy who turned out to be another dud, but wiser, harder, with a bank account that could buy small countries. Ethan's 29, fresh out of an MBA at Wharton, climbing the ladder at a fintech firm I quietly bankrolled. And Victoria? She waltzed into his life like a storm in Louboutins. 25, blonde ambition personified, daughter of a disgraced Hollywood producer who'd fled to the Caymans after Me Too torched his career. They met at a rooftop gala in San Francisco, her in a red dress that screamed, "Look at me," him starstruck and smitten. She was everything I wasn't. Young, ruthless, unscarred by the compromises that come with age. I liked her at first. Or at least I wanted to. Ethan deserved that. A partner who matched his fire. Not some echo of my own faded glory. So I opened the vault, introduced her to my network, co-signed her philanthropy startup that was really just a tax dodge for influencers. And the house? That goddamn Tudor on Waverly Drive, the one Richard and I bought in '95 for peanuts, now appraised at $2 million after I'd poured my soul into renovations, smart home tech, infinity pool, the works. It was Ethan's inheritance, or so I told him. Your future, kiddo. Build your life here. Victoria's eyes lit up at the first walk through, her manicured nails tracing the marble counters like she was claiming territory. The dinner was supposed to seal it. Our monthly family affair at the house, catered lobster thermidor, a string quartet in the garden for ambience. I'd pulled out the pearls as a pre-wedding gift, a subtle nod to tradition amid her modern flash. "They're heirlooms," I said, sliding the velvet box across the table, my voice steady despite the knot in my gut. Ethan beamed, squeezing her hand. "Mom's got stories for days about these." Victoria flipped the clasp, pearls spilling like forgotten tears onto her palm. She held them up to the light, squinting like she'd been handed a knockoff from Canal Street. "This gift looks cheap," she said, her voice a razor wrapped in silk. Not a whisper, not a joke, an announcement, pitched just loud enough for the whole table to hear. Ethan choked on his wine. My sister Lila, who'd flown in from LA, dropped her fork. And me? I felt that old betrayal uncoil in my veins, Richard's ghost laughing from the shadows. "What?" Ethan stammered, his face paling under the chandelier's glow. Victoria shrugged, tossing the necklace back into the box, like it was lint from her pocket. I mean, come on, Adeline.
Pearls are so
last century. I appreciate the gesture, but if we're talking wedding vibes, I was picturing something with a little more sparkle. Like that Tiffany set my mom got from Dad before he… You know. She trailed off with a coy smile, but her eyes, those sharp, calculating blues, locked on mine, daring me to flinch. The room spun, not from the Pinot Noir, but from the audacity. This girl, who'd clawed her way into my world on Ethan's coattails, dismissing my history like it was thrift store trash. But it wasn't just the pearls. It was the subtext, the unspoken, I deserve better than your cast-offs. And in that moment, buried under years of polite smiles and swallowed pride, I saw her for what she was, a mirror of Richard, all gloss and greed, ready to devour what I'd built. I set my fork down, the clink echoing like a gavel. Cheap, I echoed, my voice low, laced with that Midwestern steel I'd picked up from my Iowa roots before the Bay Area polished it off. These pearls survived the Depression, Victoria. They outlasted wars, scandals, hell, they outlived my marriage. But if they're not your style… I trailed off, standing slowly, the chair scraping against the hardwood like nails on a chalkboard. Ethan shot me a pleading look, but I ignored it, my gaze fixed on her. Consider them returned. She laughed, a tinkling, dismissive sound that made my blood boil. Adeline, don't be dramatic. It's just jewelry. But her eyes flickered, a hint of triumph, like she'd won some invisible round.
Dramatic?
Oh, honey, you have no idea. That night, after they'd stormed out, Ethan muttering apologies, Victoria texting furiously on her phone, I sat in the study, the house's silence pressing in like a vice. The walls whispered secrets, Richard's hidden safe behind the Rothko print, the one I'd cracked open years ago to find ledgers of his lies. I'd burned them then, for Ethan.
But now?
Now I pulled up Zillow on my laptop, fingers flying across the keys. The tutor popped up, staged photos gleaming under professional lights. 2 million easy. In this market, with the tech boom still riding high, it'd go for more. By dawn, the listing was live. Motivated seller. The agent texted back. Price it aggressive. I typed yes, then poured myself a scotch, neat, like Richard used to, and toasted the empty room. To betrayal. To the secrets I'd buried deeper than his affairs. And to the revenge that had been simmering since the day I chose family over justice. Ethan called at 8 a.m., voice cracking like he was 16 again. Mom, what the hell? The house sits on the market? Are you serious? I could hear Victoria in the background, her tone clipped. Tell her this is insane. Insane. That's rich, coming from the girl who'd trash-talk heirlooms over surf and turf. Dead serious, kiddo, I said, sipping coffee black as my mood. Victoria made it clear. Cheap isn't her brand. Neither's this old place. Time for a fresh start for all of us. He begged, reasoned, even cried a little. God, that gutted me, but I held firm. The first offer came in at 2.1 by noon, all cash from a crypto bro relocating from Miami. Closing in 30 days. Words spread like wildfire through the family group chat. Lila, sis, you're unhinged.
But
iconic. Cousins chimed in with popcorn emojis. And Victoria? She went nuclear on Instagram, a cryptic story. When family shows their true colors, broken heart, toxic in-laws, wedding woes. The likes poured in from her influencer circle, painting me as the villainous Emile who torpedoed her dream home. But they didn't know the half of it. That night, alone in the echoing halls, I dug out the old box from the attic, the one labeled Richard's Sins. Photos, emails, a thumb drive of audio recordings I'd made during our reconciliation phase. His voice, slurred and smug. Addie, it's just business. The girl's family has connections. Victoria's dad pulled strings for the merger.
Wait.
Victoria's dad? The Hollywood hack who'd vanished after assault allegations? My hands shook as I plugged in the drive. Files upon files. Richard's correspondence with one Victor Langford, Victoria's father, detailing kickbacks, favors, the works. They tanked a rival startup together, framing me as the sloppy accountant who'd overlooked the discrepancies. That's why the IRS came down so hard. Why I'd pled guilty to misdemeanor fraud, paid the fines, lost the promotions.
For them.
For their dirty little empire. The betrayal hit like a freight train. Not just Richard's infidelity, but this web of deceit, with Victoria as the spider at its center. She'd known. Hell, she'd probably grown up on stories of how her dad handled problems like me. And now she was marrying my son, poised to inherit it all. The house, the company shares, my silence. I closed the laptop, the pieces clicking into place. Revenge wasn't just selling the house. It was dismantling her throne, brick by venomous brick. And Ethan? Poor, blind Ethan. He'd have to choose sides when the truth spilled out like blood from a fresh cut. The weeks blurred into a frenzy. Showings every weekend, the house stripped of personal touches, my mother's quilts folded away, Richard's golf trophies boxed up. Victoria ramped up the drama, leaking sources to TMZ about the jilted ex-mother-in-law sabotaging a fairy tale wedding. The comments section was a cesspool, boomer entitlement at its finest clashing with girls a gold digger, good riddance. Polarizing, just like I'd hoped. Ethan shuttled between us, exhausted, his texts a litany of, "Please, Mom, let's talk." But talking was overrated. Action? That was my language now. I lawyered up quietly, the shark who'd gotten me through the divorce, and started auditing the old company books. Lo and behold, there it was, a shell entity tied to Langford Productions, siphoning residuals from Ethan's startup. Victoria's philanthropy app? A front for laundering, with my unwitting son as the face. The closing date loomed, escrow humming along. On the eve of it, Ethan showed up unannounced, rain-soaked from a Bay storm, eyes red-rimmed.
Mom, stop this.
The wedding's in 2 months. We need that house for the reception, for everything. I handed him a towel, my heart twisting. He looked so much like Richard in that moment, vulnerable, handsome, doomed. Ethan, sit. We did, in the kitchen that smelled of fresh paint and betrayal. I slid the thumb drive across the island. Listen to this. Then tell me if you still want her in our family. He plugged it in, Richard's voice filling the space like smoke. Accusations flew, tears, accusations reversed. Victoria's name dropped like a bomb.
Dad.
And her father? They set you up. His voice broke, the realization dawning. Not just set up, kid. They buried me. And I let them, for you. I watched him shatter, the boy I'd protected morphing into a man facing the wreckage. But Victoria? She knew. She's playing you like they played me. He bolted, phone in hand, straight to her.
I didn't follow.
Instead, I signed the papers, wired the funds to an offshore account of my own, irony's a bitch, and toasted with the last bottle of Richard Scotch. The house was gone, but the war? Just beginning. The fallout from the house sale hit like a Silicon Valley earthquake, shallow at first, then rippling out to crack foundations I'd long assumed solid. Ethan didn't call for days, radio silence that gnawed at me worse than any courtroom cross-examination. Victoria, ever the performer, pivoted to victimhood with a vengeance, a tearful TikTok live from their cramped No Valley rental, mascara running like black rivers down her cheeks. I just wanted a home, you know? Not some museum of grudges. The views skyrocketed, her follower count doubling overnight, influencers piling on with Stand With Vic hashtags.
Me?
I became the meme-feed monster. Karen of the Year edits splicing my old society page photos with cartoon pitchforks. But memes don't pay the piper, and neither does performative feminism when the SEC starts sniffing around your daddy's old shell companies. I'd tip them off anonymously, a burner email with just enough breadcrumbs to spark an audit without fingering Ethan. Irregularities in Langford-linked entities, it read, attached to redacted ledgers I'd scrubbed clean of my son's name. Child-proof revenge, nasty but necessary. Lila called from LA, her voice a mix of awe and alarm. Addie, you're trending on Twitter.
Badly.
But damn, girl, that necklace shade? Chef's kiss. She was the only one who got it, the sister who'd held my hand through Richard's parade of apologies that weren't. What's next? You gonna crash the bridal shower with a PowerPoint on paternal fraud? Tempting, I said, scrolling through the hate mail in my inbox. But no, this is chess, not checkers. Lila laughed, but it was hollow. We both knew the board was tilting, Ethan's silence a wild card, Victoria's charm offensive, turning my allies against me. Even my book club, those Chardonnay-sipping widows of the valley, started ghosting invites. Neutral, they called it. Cowards. The wedding loomed like a guillotine, rescheduled to a vineyard in Napa. Neutral ground, or so the planner said. Ethan finally surfaced a week post-drive, showing up at my condo in the city, gaunt and unshaven, reeking of craft IPAs and regret. Mom, he started, collapsing onto the leather sectional like a puppet with cut strings.
It's
complicated. Complicated. The word that had excused Richard's every sin, now repurposed for his mini-me. I poured him water, no booze, not tonight, and sat across, legs crossed, armor up. Complicated how? She gaslight you into thinking your dad's a saint? Or did she spin it as ancient history while shopping for her Vera Wang? He flinched, rubbing his temples. She cried, Mom. Said her dad was a monster, that she cut ties years ago. Showed me emails, him pressuring her to network with you, back when you were still married. She claims she didn't know about the setup until last month. His eyes pleaded, the same doe-in-headlights look that had saved Richard once upon a time. And the money? Yeah, it's shady, but she's fixing it. Donating the app's proceeds to assault survivors. It's redemption, right? Redemption. The word twisted in my gut like a knife. I'd chased that ghost for years. Therapy sessions in No Valley lofts, yoga retreats in Big Sur, even a half-assed memoir pitch to an agent who ghosted me. But Victoria? She wore it like a badge, flipping the script so she was the survivor, not the serpent. Ethan, I said softly, reaching for his hand, redemption doesn't come with a trust fund built on your mother's back. Listen to me. Walk away.
now.
Before she drags you under. He pulled back, fire sparking in his eyes. Richard's eyes. You're biased, Mom. You sold our home over a goddamn necklace. That's not healthy. Bias. As if her sneer hadn't been the match to my powder keg. We argued until the fog rolled in off the bay, voices echoing off the high ceilings. He left at midnight, a slammed door punctuation to I need time.
Time.
The one luxury revenge doesn't afford. I doubled down instead, hiring a PI, discreet, ex-Fed type named Harlan who'd busted Ponzi schemes in the valley's underbelly. Dig deep, I told him over black coffee at a diner in Burlingame. Her digital footprint, Langford's ghosts, any overlap with Ethan's firm. He nodded, mustache twitching like a divining rod. This about the wedding or the war? Both, I said. Make it hurt. The report landed a fortnight later, a PDF thicker than a prenup. Victoria hadn't just cut ties with Daddy Dearest, she'd been his fixer. Emails from 2018, her at 21, fresh from USC Film School, wiring funds from his Cayman accounts to consulting fees for Richard Shell. Audio clips too, her voice, breathy and businesslike, on a call with a banker. Make it untraceable. Daddy needs this clean for the merger. And the kicker? A photo time-stamped last year. Victoria and Richard, cozy at a Hamptons fundraiser, her arm looped through his, caption scrubbed but metadata screaming intimacy. My ex, fucking my son's fiancée? Or close enough to smell the betrayal. The room tilted, bile rising. Not shock, exactly. Richard was a collector of complications, but the layers, the incestuous, not of it all. She'd seduced him for leverage, then pivoted to Ethan like upgrading models. And me? The fool who'd paved her path with pearls and property. Harlan's note. Tread careful, Adeline. This girl's got claws, sued a journo last year for defamation. But if you want play. Attached, a dossier on her app's backend, code riddled with backdoors for data harvesting. Selling user info to the highest bidder, including Ethan's fintech clients. Blackmail bait. I forwarded it to Ethan anonymously. A ghost email from concerned_colleague at ProtonMe. See the code. Ask questions. Crickets. Then, radio static. A wedding website update. RSVPs due. My name struck through in digital red. Exiled. The polarization peaked. Friends split down generational lines. Boomers cheering my boundaries. Millennials decrying. Ageist sabotage. A podcast even dissected it on Spotify. Is Adeline the hero or the harpy? You decide. The bridal shower was the line in the sand. Intimate. Invite only at a spa in Sonoma. All mimosas and monogrammed robes. I wasn't on the list, but Lila was. Her +1 slot my Trojan horse. Where the pearls? I texted her. And record everything. She did better. Live-streamed snippets to a private group chat. Victoria holding court in a silk kimono, gushing about fresh starts, while unwrapping gifts from Daddy's old cronies. Then the toast. To family, not the blood kind, the chosen. The ones who don't hold grudges over. Vintage accessories. Laughter rippled, but Lila's camera caught the flinch. Ethan, in the corner, phone buzzing with my anonymous drop. Chaos erupted post-toast. Ethan cornered her in the powder room, voices muffled but furious. The code. Vic? My client's data? Her reply shrill. Baby, it's a misunderstanding. Harlan's guy? That's your mom's PI, I swear. Harlan? She'd known. Tracked him somehow, flipped the narrative again. Lila bailed early, texting me from the car. Incoming meltdown. Your boy's waking up. By evening, Ethan was at my door again, Victoria's ring box clutched in his fist. She lied, Mom. About everything, Dad, the money, the app. I confronted her, and she laughed. Said you'd never let go, that selling the house was proof you're the unstable one. Unstable? The word I'd whispered to myself in therapy, post-Richard. But hearing it from her lips, via my son, it ignited something primal. What now? I asked, pulling him into a hug, his sobs soaking my blouse. Now? We end it. His voice hardened, a man's resolve cracking through the boy. But fair. No more secrets.
Fair.
A quaint notion in the revenge game. We plotted over takeout pad thai, him spilling the shower details, me doling out the full dossier, no redactions. Victoria's flips weren't just survival, they were strategy. She'd betted Richard for intel on my weaknesses, then ghosted him when Ethan proved plumper pickings. She's a chameleon, Ethan said, scrolling the emails. Says what we need to hear. The rehearsal dinner was our stage, vineyard under string lights, 200 guests from both sides, air thick with Napa's Cabernet fog. Victoria had spun the house sale as empowering minimalism, her dress a white sheath screaming innocence. Ethan and I arrived fashionably late, arm in arm, my pearls gleaming at my throat like war paint. She spotted us immediately, smile faltering as we approached the head table. Adeline, she cooed, air kissing my cheeks. So glad you could make it. Despite everything. Her eyes darted to Ethan, pleading. Wouldn't miss it, I said, voice honeyed venom. Family, right? Chosen or otherwise. The table tensed, her bridesmaids exchanging glances, Richard's ghost in the form of a +1 leering from across the room. Ethan cleared his throat, standing with the mic like he'd rehearsed in my bathroom mirror. Vic, before we dive in, a toast. The crowd hushed, forks pausing midair. To truths. The ones we bury. The ones that bite back. He held up his phone, projecting the damning email chain onto a makeshift screen. Langford to Richard, CC. Victoria. Gasps rippled. Her face drained of color, mouth opening like a landed fish. You bastard, she hissed, lunging for the phone. But Ethan sidestepped, his voice steady. No more games. The SEC's got your apps books. And Dad? Yeah, I know about the Hamptons. The vineyard erupted, shouts, chairs scraping, her father, fresh from exile, bellowing from the bar. Victoria whirled on me, eyes wild. This is you, isn't it? Poisoning him like you poisoned your marriage.
Poison.
The accusation hung, controversial as hell, splitting the crowd, her camp crying foul, mine murmuring told you so. Ethan grabbed my arm, pulling me back as security swarmed. It's over, Vic. For real. But she wasn't done. In the melee, she grabbed the mic, voice breaking for the cameras that had materialized like vultures. He's right. My family's flawed. But Adeline? She covered for Richard's crimes, took the fall to keep her image pristine. Ask the IRS files. A bluff? Or had she dug deeper? The twist landed like a sucker punch. Whispers turned to stares, my clean slate, the one I'd rebuilt post-scandal, cracking under scrutiny. Ethan froze, looking at me like I was the stranger. Mom? The night dissolved into ambulances for fainting aunts and Ubers fleeing the drama. Victoria vanished into the vines, a white specter, her final text to Ethan. You chose the witch. Enjoy your pyre. Alone in my hotel room, the pearls heavy around my neck, I wondered, had I won? Or just traded one betrayal for a lifetime of doubt? Dawn broke over Napa like a hangover, hazy, unforgiving, the vineyard's vines twisting like accusations in the morning mist. Ethan and I drove back to the city in silence, his knuckles white on the wheel of my Tesla, radio off, the weight of Victoria's parting shot compressing the air between us. The IRS files, he finally said, voice raw from the nights shouting. What did she mean, Mom? You said you covered for Dad, but… Pristine image. I stared out at the passing hills, golden and indifferent, the lie I'd nurtured for 15 years clawing its way up my throat. Pristine?
Hardly.
The truth was uglier. Not just fudge numbers, but a plea deal where I'd admitted to accessory charges, unreported income from Richard's side hustles, to shield Ethan from juvenile records. He'd been 16, joyriding in Daddy's Porsche, crashing it into a guardrail high on Molly from a party. Cops called it reckless endangerment. I called the judge, spun tears about family stress, and took the financial hit to bury it. Victoria's dig? She'd hacked my past, or bought it from some dark web sleuth, turning my sacrifice into ammo. Ethan, I started, voice cracking for the first time since the Pearls debacle. It wasn't just Dad. It was you, too. That wreck senior year? I pled out, ate the fines, the community service logs. Kept it off your record for college apps. His jaw tightened, eyes flicking to the rear view, mirrors reflecting monsters we hadn't seen coming.
You.
For me? The car swerved slightly, a hiccup of emotion. Why didn't you say? Because mothers don't tally debts, kiddo. We pay them. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. Victoria's laugh echoing, her flip from victim to viper making me question my own scales. Was I the protector, or the puppeteer, strings attached to every choice? The city swallowed us whole, Bay Bridge traffic a snarl of horns and exhaust. Ethan's phone blew up, voicemails from panicked colleagues, texts from Victoria's camp painting us as the villains in a live-tweeted tragedy. Exposé dropping tonight. One read from an unknown number. Your mom's the real crook. Polarization on steroids. Reddit threads dissected the drama, subreddits for AATA exploding with YTA, weaponizing family secrets versus NTA. Gold digger deserved it. I scrolled in the passenger seat, numb. The $2.10 mill from the house sale burning a hole in my accounts like fool's gold. We holed up at my condo, ordering in Burmese from that hole-in-the-wall on Geary, the kind with plastic stools and spice that clears sinuses and sins alike. Over tea leaf salad and curries that scorched the tongue, we deconstructed her. The flips, the facades. She's not evil, Ethan mused, picking at his lap chong. Just broken. Dad used her, like he used you. Broken mirrors make jagged cuts, I countered, the pearls still at my throat like a noose of nostalgia. And she's got the scars to prove it. Assault allegations against Victor? Real as rain. But that doesn't excuse building on others' graves. The exposé hit at 8 p.m. sharp, a BuzzFeed long read. The wedding that exposed a tech dynasty's dark underbelly, byline to a journo Victoria had befriended post-shower. It was surgical, my IRS plea, Richard's affairs, with photos, blurred but unmistakable, the house sale framed as vindictive downsizing. But the twist? A leaked audio me, in therapy, confessing to Harlan the PI. I want her to bleed, slow. Make her feel the isolation I did. Out of context, it painted me as the architect of agony, not the avenger of it. Ethan hurled his phone across the room, screen cracking against the wall. You recorded that? For what leverage? Hurt laced his words, the boy betrayed by the woman who'd betrayed for him. Insurance, I admitted, shame hot on my cheeks. In case she flipped again. But it backfired, spectacularly, calls from board members at his firm, clean house, ultimatums veiled as concern. Lila texted, damage control, stat. Fly out.
No.
This was mine to own. I called Harlan at midnight, voice steel over the line. Kill the narrative. Plant the Hamptons pic unblurred. He hesitated. Adeline, that's nuclear. Ends her, but singes you too. Do it.
Click.
By morning, the internet flipped, Victoria's redemption arc imploding under the weight of her daddy-daughter reunion snap, comments sections erupting in hypocrite, and plot twist. The SEC raid on her app made headlines too, agents carting servers from her co-working space in Soma, her tearful perp walk streamed live. Ethan watched it unfold from the couch, face a mask of grief and grim satisfaction. It's over, he said, but his eyes searched mine, questioning, still. Not quite. The wedding was off, venue refunded, guests scattering like confetti in reverse. But Victoria? She didn't fade quietly. A handwritten letter arrived 2 days later, scrawled on monogrammed stationery, slipped under my door like a curse. Adeline, you win. The house, the headlines, Ethan's soul, poof. But here's the secret you buried deepest. Richard didn't just cheat. He hit me up for cash last year, post-cancer scare, begging for a kidney match. I said no. Watched him wither instead. Your sacrifice? It bought you nothing but echoes. Enjoy the empty Tudor echo in your vault. Twist, I loved Ethan. Truly.
But you?
You're the monster we both deserved. Burn this. Or don't. Your call.
V.
The paper trembled in my hands, ink blurring with unshed tears. Richard, dying, desperate. Dialing her? My ex, reduced to pleading with his ex-mistress's daughter? And her refusal. Cold, calculated, a flip too far even for me. But the gut punch, her love for Ethan, twisted into truth by my blade. Had I shattered something real, or just illusions? I showed Ethan, of course. We sat on the balcony, fog muting the city's hum, passing the letter like a joint of regret.
She.
What? His voice broke, the final fracture. Dad reached out to her? Yeah. I squeezed his shoulder, the pearls catching the light like distant stars. And she let him go, like she let you think it was all me. He crumpled it, tossing it over the rail into the void. Fuck her. Fuck them both. But his tears said otherwise, mourning the what-ifs, the wedding that might have been sans skeletons. The climax came unbidden, a week later at the old house's closing, ironic, handing keys to the crypto bro while Victoria lurked in the driveway, uninvited, unhinged. She'd aged a decade in days, hair lank, eyes hollow, a paparazzi shadow trailing her Prius. Adeline, she called as I emerged, agent in tow. One last chat. Ethan tensed beside me, but I waved him off.
Go.
I'll handle. Masochism? Or mercy? The line blurred. We faced off on the lawn. I'd sodded myself, sprinklers hissing like whispers. You got your revenge, she said, voice flat. No more flips, just fatigue. Happy. No. I admitted the word foreign. You took my son's trust. I took your future. We're even monsters. She laughed, bitter as base salt. Even? The SEC's freezing my assets. Dad's talking extradition. Ethan's ghosting me, says I'm toxic adjacency. A pause, her gaze sharpening.
But you?
That plea deal? I could go public. Full files. Ruin you proper. The threat hung, controversial crossroads. Call her bluff, or fold. The readers in my head, those who debate this tale over brunch, would split hairs here. Heroic stand or hubris. I met her eyes, saw the girl beneath the gorgon. Abused, ambitious, adrift. Then do it, I said, stepping closer. But first, truth for truth.
Why, Ethan.
After Richard? She deflated, shoulders slumping. Because he was kind. Saw me, not the legacy.
You.
You saw the threat. A tear escaped real this time. I flipped to survive. You flipped to destroy.
Destroy.
Or liberate. The debate eternal. I handed her the pearls, unclasped, offered like olive branch or noose. Take them.
Sewing.
Start over. But leave him be. She stared, then snatched them, fingers brushing mine. Electric final. You're crazier than I thought. She turned, vanishing into her car, taillights fading like a bad dream. Ethan emerged then, keys jangling. What did she say? Nothing we'd believe. We drove off, the house shrinking in the mirror. Sold, severed, a chapter closed. But the twist lingered. A month later, an anonymous donation to my alma mater's women's shelter, 7 figures, signed VL, for the ghosts we bury. Happy ending? Tragic farce? You tell me. Me, I uncorked a bottle that night, toasting the empty condo, to betrayals unearthed, to families reforged in fire. Ethan moved in temporarily. Therapy dates penciled in, the tutor's echo replaced by tentative laughs over takeout.
Victoria?
Vanished to who knows, Vancouver, maybe, scripting her own redemption arc. And me? Adeline Voss, Avenger unmasked, pearls gone but scars silvered. In America, revenge isn't sweet. It's the salt in the wound that heals crooked. But damn if it doesn't make one hell of a story.